I feel the darkness closing in. Cold shivers rolling over my skin. And even as the wolves are circling, my God, He is with me to the end. And I'll walk on in the valley, though I'll walk on in the shadow. Send me, Lord, I'm ready to go. And I'll walk home when I cannot see. I'll walk home where you're leading me. Send me, Lord, I'm ready to go. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. His word is the sword I'm carrying. It has the power to save and condemn. And I'll walk home until He comes again. And I'll walk home in the valley, and I'll walk home in the shadow. Send me, Lord, I'm ready to go. And I'll walk home when I cannot see. I'll walk home where you're leading me. I said, send me, Lord, I'm ready to go. In the fire, in the suffering, I will fear no evil.
Good morning. Glad to see you made it. Whoa, We're traveling back to Ray. I spent the weekend with my son over in Greeley, Colorado. Not bad. I like Greeley. Love my son. Love hanging out with him. Went and had a nice dinner and stuff, but now we're heading home. Went and visited Cheyenne, Wyoming. Nice place. Nice place. That place has really grown over the, I don't know when the last time I was there, 20 years ago maybe, and the place has really grown. And it's nice. Terrain is quite a bit different than here. Like here, there's lots of corn and crops, wheat, different things, you know. You get over into Wyoming, there ain't no crops, no corn, no wheat, just big, giant rolling hills and prairie, grass prairie. That's it. So I imagine all their agriculture over there is wild, you know, cattle, sheep, things like that, animals. Must be, because they don't grow corn in Wyoming. The soil must not be so fertile. Heavy winds probably make it difficult. But anyway, heading back to Ray. Jesus. It's a rough highway, boy. Good day. It's crazy. All the roads and highways in Colorado are terrible. They don't spend money. You know, you pay in millions and millions and billions of dollars in taxes, and nobody knows where the money goes. I mean, it should be, they have two responsibilities, right? Your police, your firemen, and the roads. And outside of that, what else good is the government for? You know, I don't know. But, gosh, that's not working too good. How's that? A little better? Still, just the road is just, maybe this ain't gonna work too well. This road is so rough. give it a go. Let's see what you guys think. Trying something new. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Been up since 6. Slept in a little bit. And if we're going to travel, I like to travel early in the morning and when it's cool. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about humanity and this world that we live in today. I don't know. I'm like you. I'm like everybody. Every other concerned parent in America. The future just doesn't look very bright. And for no other reason than I believe we have wicked and evil people running the government, you know. And it's not that they're running the government. I don't know if they're running anything. What they're doing is robbing the money, stealing the money. And so I don't know. I was talking to my son, and 80 hours in the past 6 days at work for him. That's what he had last week. 80 hours for just the 1 week, which working the people to death. And at the end of the day, you know, the government's going to take $1,000 in for 1 week's pay in taxes. So I don't know why everybody's bitching about communism in the United States, because we're a communist country. I mean, you work your balls off all week long just for the government to take everything you got and then redistribute it to Africa or Iran, to Saudi Arabia, you know, to whatever, the rest of the world, Europe. But none of it comes back to the people they are robbing and raping and stealing from. You know, it's crazy that the presidents, the governors, the congressmen's number one job is to protect and enforce the Constitution. And that's what makes us a republic and not communist. And that's what makes us, you know, we're not democratic either. We're a republic. We have rights, and what protects us is the Constitution. Those are our rights. And all police officers and the United States Army, and the president and the vice president all take an oath to protect the Constitution. And the Constitution says the United States government cannot tax a man's wage, his income. I mean, they tax everything. $1,000 a week in your income tax, which is illegal. But nobody who takes the oath actually fulfills the oath they take. And then they tax everything else. Tax all the food, tax your house, tax the roads, tax your cars, tax. And we're not slaves. If any dollar comes back to us and then they want to investigate you for what kind of criminal activity you've been partaking in, and how'd you end up with some money? So when I see the president praying, and of course, his religious leaders, or Kenneth Copeland, Paula White, people that the religious community have all condemned as being charlatans and frauds. And you got president and all these frauds praying together. I don't know. I'm not sure everybody's going to heaven. I just wonder if you believe you're going to heaven, where does that belief come from? Like, why do you believe that? How do you know anything that you believe in has any value? There's any truth in it? I mean, it's just solely based upon your opinion or beliefs. It's not based upon fact, right? I mean, what facts do you have? How do you truly know? Did Jesus Christ say to you with his lips and his voice, "Don't worry, my child, you are safe"? Did he say that to you? Did God, right? And for me, Jesus Christ is God, so if we're going to talk about God, we're going to talk about Jesus Christ. Beautiful morning, though. Every morning comes with a beautiful sunrise, and every sunrise is a little bit different, and they're always beautiful. I don't know. Everybody thinks they're good, right? I mean, you just look at how Trump talks about himself. If you don't, he believes he's good. He's a good guy, good person, good husband, and a good wife, good father. He believes that because he says that every day, 50 times a day, to anybody who will listen to his stuff, and I just think they're all wicked. They're all evil. It doesn't matter. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. And, yes, the people who are running for Democratic office, I believe, are on a whole nother level of evil because when they pray, they proudly pray to Satan. And you may say to yourself, well, I'm a Democrat and I don't pray to Satan. Well, I don't know. I think the people who are saved are the people who are proudly walking as Christians. They don't walk as Democrats or Republicans. Instead, they walk as a Christian, which, I'd rather see you live your creed, see you live the good deeds. We need good deeds. We need good people. That's not the issue. We need those things in the world, and if you're doing those things, we need that, and keep up the good work. But, like I say, everybody thinks they're good. Everybody thinks they're doing it right, and nobody ever believes, right, that they're the ones, right? Nobody believes you're the one who is on the path or the road to destruction, and the road to destruction is wide and well traveled. The road that leads to eternal life is narrow. you travel it. How do you know you're on the narrow road? I don't know. Got a lot of work to do on the church and back in Ray, and once that work has been completed, I have a feeling, a desire to leave Ray. And I want to leave Ray because I think it's filled with evil and evil people. And you're in those small rural communities, it's a town of about, I don't know, they say 2,000 people, but since I've been there, I've seen 500, 600, 700 people die, because it's kind of a retirement community, and there's nobody coming in to replace those people. So I'd say it's probably around 1,500, maybe less. And there's a real cloud of kind of a depression. There's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, and if anybody has something to do, it's usually talking about someone. Oh, did you hear such and such neighbor was doing this or that? Because the only thing there is to do is to stand there looking at your neighbor. If you got a neighbor. They don't have anything else. They've, as a community, have decided to eliminate all forms of entertainment, all forms of social interaction. You go sit in your house and die, old lady. Oh man, that's the community. And the rich, and there are some rich people there, just absolutely take advantage of the poor. And there's a lot more poor people than there are rich people, but there's a cloud of depression kind of there. You can feel it. You can feel the evil. You can feel the slander. You can feel the gossip. And even right? What do I got to talk about other than my neighbor's shortcomings? One of the reasons I talk about those things, though, is because I want you to be in heaven. I want you to be saved. Not because you believe in it. Not because it's your opinion about yourself. But because it's the truth. It's the truth. And you're locked in on the truth. And why is it the truth? And how do you know it's the truth? Because Jesus has sealed it. Has sealed you into that truth. And how do you know? I wonder, how does any of us know unless Christ himself has talked to you? Has had a conversation with you. It's tough because Jesus rarely speaks, but he does speak. I know he speaks because he's spoken to me. He's spoken to me, and I don't know, I hate humanity. I hate the human being, and the reason I hate the human being is because they know the difference. They know the difference between right and wrong, and yet constantly choosing to do wrong. They know what they're doing is wrong, and instead of stopping that wrong or choosing a different way, they just try to justify the wrong that they're doing. They're trying to turn the wrong or evil into good. That's what makes the Bible so believable. As God said, this is what you're going to do. And it wasn't so much, this is what you're going to do. He said, this is what you did when you were in my presence. That's what you did. Then we look at the world and go, well, this is what we're doing. Trying to turn evil into good and good into evil. And just like the old saying goes, you do a good deed for somebody and you will be punished for it. No good deed goes unpunished. I don't know. All these little phony baloney governments and stuff make all these rules and regulations. We, the United States people, the people of the United States, are the most unfree people in all the world. This ain't freedom. Nothing free about this. Can you freely go to state to state? Sure, but not like you can freely leave America. Just because you can freely walk around without ball and chain, doesn't necessarily mean you're free. I don't know. I've heard people say, especially atheists who hate the entire idea of religion and God, Jesus, the Bible, and they always hate that first and foremost. God, Jesus, and the Bible, right? But one of the reasons they hate God is because He allows slavery. How could there be a good God who's full of righteousness and justice and allow slavery? See, that's free. That's freedom. That's free will. It's not that God allows it. It's you choose to do that to your neighbor. Force them to slave for you or whatever. And God allows you the opportunity to break down and destroy your countrymen, your neighbors. He allows it. He lets you do it. That's freedom. And it seems like there's no consequences. Man, this road is just terrible rough. And, there's not a road in Colorado that's being maintained or maintained. Even in Denver, highways are falling apart and stuff, it's horrible. Here we got a little small section of new road, nice and smooth. But here we are going back to the old rough road. Let's see what happens. And everybody wants to blame God. I can't love God because He allows slavery. And then you turn around and look at your servant, chew their butts out. Get back to work! does it choose or allow slavery? Does God speak about slavery? Sure he does. And God says you need to let the slaves go. Not even it's allowed in the Bible to keep slaves over 7 years or whatever it is. You're supposed to let them go. Let them be free. Let people be free. It's weird because it's the only place in the universe that we know of. And yeah, they got a lot of information, stuff about, I don't know, aliens and things like that. Extraterrestrials and ETs and, you know, been visiting the earth. And, well, according to the Bible, demons and devils and angels heavenly beings have been visiting the earth for thousands of years. It's nothing new. You know? And people, you know, you don't need to be afraid of aliens, demons, and devils. You need to be afraid of yourself. God, this road is just so terrible. I'm gonna try to do it different. It's disgusting how bad the roads are. See, we pay out all this money. Oh, pay out all this money for taxes, and like I say, nobody even knows where the money goes. It just disappears, and you know. All the congressmen and governors, they live in mansions. That's not working. That's not working. I don't know. But, the thing you need to fear most is your neighbors, the people who live in hate and anger. I don't know. I hate the human being. Maybe that's why I'm still single, right? I cannot, for the life of me, find a good woman or girlfriend or wife. And it's all because, well, the biggest turnoff to any woman in America is tell them you're a messenger of Jesus Christ, right? That's all you gotta do. Right there, that's the deal breaker. Right there, that's where it ends. And that goes for Christian women and girls. You know, they don't mind dating another Christian, but the preacher, the pastor, the messenger, the guy who not only believes it, but lives it, breathes it, eats it, and makes it his life, that guy, no way, Jose. You do not mess with that guy. God dang, I wish I could find a spot for my camera here. Yeah, look, see how rough this road is. It's terrible. This is one of the good or better roads in Colorado. I don't know. Just a big joke. Great big joke, you know. Yeah, see, you know, it's not the United States government that makes Ray, Colorado a bad place to live. It's not the mayor of Ray, Colorado that makes it a bad place to live. It's not the city council. It's not the governor of Colorado. You know, they're not out there knocking on the doors and, and making you feel uncomfortable and things like that. It's the people that live in Ray, just in general. The people who live there make it a bad place to live. And it's weird because, you know, they all love that place so much. The rich people love the place so much. And why do the rich people love it? Because they have power. And with their power, they get to control over their community. And so they don't want any businesses coming in, right? I mean, it took 10 years or something for them to bring in a Boom Cars, which is like a Tractor Supply, little fake Walmart for farmers, basically, kind of. It took years for those guys to get in, and they don't want any fast food restaurants. They don't want anybody in there because if these corporations came in, and I get it, nobody likes corporate America, but they bring jobs. And with jobs, they bring money. And if they have jobs and they have money, that eliminates your power, the rich man's power. So he can no longer manipulate and exploit his workers because they'll go get a job somewhere else. You can only manipulate and exploit your workers when you know you're providing the only job there is in town. Now we're on I-76, better highway, different highway. It's a little bit smoother. Let's see how this goes. Sorry for the terrible camera, whatever, for the bad video. Yeah, if you're the only employer in town, and you know that, well, shit, you can do anything you want, and you can undercut your employees at will. I don't know. Everybody thinks they got the answers to America's problem, right? All the Democrats believe they have the answers to America's problems, and the Republicans believe they have all the answers to Americans' problems, and on either side of the spectrum, and everybody in the middle. The answer to America's problems is eliminating you. That's what they believe. If you're against us, if you don't believe in our solution, well, leave. Well, let us eliminate you. You know, it's just amazing to me that, you know, everybody wants that weasel Fauci to hang. They want to see him executed, right? Good, normal people. The government is not going to hang him. They're not going to throw him in jail. They're just going to talk to him, and so everybody sees it, and they, no, bad boy. The reason they're not going to do anything is because they paid him to kill 1 million Americans. They paid him to kill the people during the COVID pandemic. He did what the government wanted him to do. You know, the government ain't gonna throw you in jail because you did what they wanted you to do. They're only gonna throw you in jail when you try to stop it. Try to stop mass murder. I mean, just look at during the COVID era and how you couldn't speak against, you know, Bill Gates and his evil practices. Couldn't speak against any of the evil things they were doing to the citizens of the world. You know, they stand there together, mocking you and laughing at you as they say they're going to depopulate the earth, as though the human being is the earth's greatest problem. I don't know. The human being might be the earth's greatest problem. I don't think it's the earth's greatest problem. It's your greatest problem. It's my greatest problem. But we are not parasites. We're not the earth's problem. They're just trying to convince you that it's okay to mass murder millions of people. That's what they're trying to convince you of. That what they're doing is not criminal. And if you think it's criminal and you go to try and stop them from doing it, you'll forfeit your life. I'll guarantee you that. Which is why it's evil. It's why it's sick. Sick. The human being is sick. And that's why God flooded the earth in the days of Noah. He saw and he looked down and said he was grieved over how sick the human being was. He wasn't upset and mad over the lion eating deer. He wasn't angry or upset over the bear eating rabbits, whatever bears eat. He wasn't upset over that stuff. Right? I don't know. I wasn't upset over death. I was upset over how sick the human being is. And what makes them sick is they choose to do evil. And what's evil is they kill one another for pleasure. Not to feed themselves or not to defend themselves, but for the simple fact that they find pleasure in hurting people. And, you know, we've seen it in the United States government. We've seen it in other governments and other civilizations throughout history. Which human beings do they find pleasure in killing? Well, the defenseless, the babies, the women, the children, grandmas, grandpas. Find a lot of pleasure in torturing one another. Right? Monkeys and animals don't torture. They might get in a little monkey fight, monkey war, and kill a couple of the monkeys or the survival of the fittest. I don't think they find pleasure in it. It's more of a necessity. But they don't torture one another. And the human being finds pleasure in the torturing of another person. I think that's why the United States government robs the American citizens of all their money and then just freely flushes it down the toilet as they send it off into Europe and Africa and the rest of the world. They find pleasure in your torture, in tormenting you. They enjoy that. Seeing you frustrated, seeing you upset, seeing you're angry, and then not have the power to change the situation. That's where they find pleasure. While they stand there at the altar saying, God, thank you for everything you've done for me. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings I have received. Thank you, Lord, for all these things putting within me the desire to be the good guy. I tithe 1/10 of everything I have, and I offer to you, O Lord God, 1/10 of my produce and everything I built my life upon, my crops, my grain, my animals. And most especially, Lord, thank you for not making me like this guy. The Bible says this guy was a tax collector who, in the days of Jesus, the tax collector was the greatest criminal the world had ever seen, right? In his day, taxes were new. That was a new idea. Rome came up with the idea they were going to tax the world. And all the things behind, the whole motivation behind tax is finding pleasure in tormenting other people. And we'll stop tormenting you. We'll stop torturing you. Give me a little money. Give me half of the produce being produced on your farm. Stop. Remember the lunch bully? You go to school, you're a little kid, and got this bully comes in and gonna rob you of your milk money or your lunch money. Everybody knew that kid was bad. But he isn't bad. He's probably grow up and become a governor, a congressman. Just wonder, how is it that you know? I could see how you could believe it, but how do you know you're saved? How do you know you're the one going to heaven? How do you know that? Why do you believe that? How do you know?